Hi, everybody. This is Kristen from A Voice and a View. And I hope you're getting used to the new name to my page. It took me quite a while to figure out what I wanted to rename it. But since I moved, I felt it was appropriate. And I think it fits. My adding pictures once in a while on my page, as well as using my voice, giving my point of view. So I'm getting used to it, and I really got to pay attention when I'm talking because I want to say the UP view. But I'll get used to it. But I do really like the name. So I hope you do too. And I hope you're all doing well out there. And today's healing lesson is called One More Light. And I picked that because one of my favorite songs is by Linkin Park, One More Light. And I really want you to watch the video after my video. I'll post it in the comments afterward, but I really want you to listen to the lyrics and let them sink in, let the words sink in to the true meaning of the song. And I think it's very relevant for what's going on right now in the world and with relationships of anyone, out there. But it's a very inspiring song, and it just tears at your heartstrings, it does me. And I got the inspiration for the song this morning, or not, I don't like that word, earlier today. And for those of you that don't know, that I don't like that word morning, because the universe doesn't know the difference between the morning, as in the morning, or morning, MOURNING. Okay, it doesn't understand the spelling of words. It just, it's what comes out of your mouth, the words you use. So I try so hard not to use that word, but it's so ingrained in me and everybody else, I'm sure. But anyways, so I woke up earlier and I had a dream last night, and a vision, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people don't understand visions or dreams or inspiration that comes out of those, but those are your past lives. Those are, you could astral travel at night, and a lot of higher in consciousness spirits, when you go through this process and understand what Christ consciousness is, you do a lot of night work. You do a lot of astral traveling and work in the spirit world. Because we are in an unconventional war. We're in a spiritual war right now. If you take a look out there in the world, it'll make a little more sense, but we are. But I got a vision last night, and I woke up very inspired to do this video. And I'm trying to figure out what I was going to talk about. And Linkin Park came into my mind, my intuition, your first thought, and that song One More Light. And I will mention some of the lyrics at the end of the video. But I really want you to listen to that song and get inspired by it, because there's so much passion and inspirational intent in that video and in that song. And Linkin Park, I used to listen to a lot of their songs with Chester Bennington, and a lot of their songs are very inspirational. But there's a lot of truth in their songs, messages that they're trying to wake you up to. But anyways, I'm getting a little sidetracked here. But yeah, I had this dream last night, and the inspiration from One More Light song, talks about there's so many hurting souls out there. And sometimes when people or souls, the souls, the spirit of people, they live in the lower chakra energies, which we call the devil energies. And sometimes they can get attachments, from, things that they say or do that they're not in control of, because they can't see. They can't see in the spirit. They can't see above, like an eagle's eye view of things going on in the world and around them, because they're not connected in the spirit. Okay, and they can be manipulated. They can be, lied on, to help them think one way or another, because they're not listening to good energies. Okay, they're being manipulated. And sometimes when people are in those energies and they're working from their ego more and not from their heart space, okay, that's working in the higher chakras, they try to be more in control of their life, but they also try to control others through their words and actions. And a lot of the times when you're working from that energy in that space and trying to control someone else's destiny, you can really cause some damage to someone's life in more ways than one. And, the words you speak out into the world, because you're a powerful creator, your words can cast spells on people. And the more people involved can make it very powerful against someone. And when you do these things, it can really affect another person. And it can affect so many others, in the spirit, in their light, their, the light that they carry within themselves. And that's a lot of what that song does. It talks about, when you feel like nobody else cares in the world about you, I want to care. I want to be the one that lights up your world and helps you heal and be that inspiration that you can turn to or help you understand that you are important, that you are a light in this world, whether you feel like you're not, or whether you feel like others don't think that you are, or whoever is making you feel a certain way about yourself. You know, the lyrics in that song basically say, I care. I do. And that's the main reason why I love that song. And it's very hard when you feel like you're being manipulated and controlled by a person or by multiple people, and that you don't have control of your own life, that everything is being manipulated around you by what others say and do behind your back or just in general. You know, your words are very powerful, and they have the power to really damage someone else. They have the power to either inspire or to expire the light in someone. And nobody should ever be able to extinguish your light. Nobody should have any. No one should have control like that in someone else's world, because we're all out here trying to survive and get through each day and create our worlds in the best way we possibly can for our families and kids and make it a better place. And when you create from damaging energies like that, it just domino effects. It not only affects that person, but it affects everybody around them. And when you're working from the lower chakras and in the devil energies, which is why I talk about opening up your chakras. And it's so important, because if you don't, you can be manipulated in so many different ways. And whatever you create in your world and around you, that's going to come back on you. You know, we have free will here, and everything that we create in our world, everything that we say and do, we are responsible for that energy. And that energy can get out of control. It can really just ripple out and just create so many burdens in another's life. And that's not what we're here for. We're here to be a light in someone else's world. We're here to inspire others. You know, be a light in the darkness. Be hope in someone else's life. Have experiences with so many different people and help them learn and grow and evolve. You know, help them understand that everything that they do, they're going to create lessons from that. They're going to create karma. And, whatever energy you put out into the world is going to come back to you. It's going to ripple back. And depending on how much of that energy you put out, good or bad, it will come back to you. Whether it is instant, whether it is next week, whether it's years. And God, Spirit, I call God Spirit, He's in charge of all that. But it's very real. And I didn't really understand how real it was, but it's very real. But the energy has to balance out. That's how it works. So whatever energy you live in and create from and, work with, that's all up to you. The more you understand now, the more, knowledge you have, because knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have about what you create in your world and what you put out there and what you want to come back to you or what you don't want to come back to you, that's all up to you. It's all up to you. Free will it's a big definition. Because when you're taking away consent from another soul here on this plane, this physical plane, you're doing a lot of damage. You're taking away their light. You're working in so much manipulation that you're going to lose control of. And, right now, especially in the world, there's so much going on with everybody, and everybody is going through their own dark night of the soul in so many different ways. And if you don't know what that is, I've explained that in the past, but dark night of the soul is where, it's like you're waking up on this awakening journey, this great awakening journey. You're waking up to all the manipulation that has been going on in your life that you didn't have control of. I mean, you did have control of, but because you were not healed, you didn't heal within yourself all the shadows that are inside of you, the entities that attach to you, the demons. Because you're not doing the healing and the shadow work, okay, you can be manipulated. And then when you do start waking up and you're going through my nose is itching, and that's confirmation. And when you do start waking up and realize that you have been manipulated, that you have been, it's almost like you were taken over, and the decisions that you made were not your own. That's a complicated thing. Because yes, everybody has free will, and they have made their own decisions about what energy they put out there. But we also have to look at every person and soul was affected by others sometime or at some point in their life. And most of the time it's when they're, a child, where they're living from a child's view. They're working with the memories that they remember, or the situations that they dealt with, things that traumatize them. They were that vulnerable child, that they dealt with all these situations, and they're working from a hurt space. And they never deal with those issues, which is so important to deal with them, however you do. Therapists, talking about it, healing whatever you need to heal with inside yourself. But so many have not dealt with the trauma in their lives from wherever it came from. Could be childhood, could be in war, it could be from family, it could be anything. But when hurt others because of the trauma they've been in and have lived with for so long, that can spiral in so many ways. And a lot of the times you don't have complete control of your decisions, because your ego can manipulate your thoughts, your words, your actions, and it can hurt others. You work with addictions, and that makes it even worse. And I've talked about that I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes, unfortunately. But I've done it for a long time, and so that's one that I still have not gotten over. But I don't have, any other strong addictions or anything like that. But, I used to be a drinker. I used to be an emotional eater. That was a big one for me. Everybody's got their own, different situations and addictions, but the more healing work you do, and you heal from the inside out, you will realize that those layers of trauma start coming off. And you start losing addictions. You start losing, that anxiety within yourself. You start losing the anger and the need to drink so much or not at all. There's so many different situations. I don't eat like I used to. I don't get hungry a lot. I rarely drink. Everybody's situation is whatever. It's all, to each their own, but and no judgments here, guys, because, like I said, I've been in the situations before as well, and done things that, like everybody else, if they're drunk or drinking too much, there's always those things that you say, I could have done better with that. I shouldn't have done that, or gosh, you woke up with a hangover, or whatever, We're all here to experience things and learn. But when it gets to the point where it's out of control, and You don't want to do the healing work, and you're working from all that energy that is manipulative and hurting someone else and controlling someone else's destiny and world. You are crushing someone's light. You are hurting someone that might not be able to come out of that situation. And, believe me, guys, I've been through it. Like, through it. I've had a lot of situations in my lifetime where people have tried to crush me, crush my light. I've been bullied in so many different ways from so many different people. When I was younger, the kids in my school, young kid, just crushed me when I was young. I've had it through all years of my life. And it's, it was really taking me out. But somehow, God woke me up and started showing me a better world, started showing me reality over the crap that was going on, and it wasn't easy to see, everything that was happening within myself and in my outside world wasn't easy by far. I had some really devastating days. And music, I'm telling you, music got me through a lot of it. So many songs out there that make you feel, show you the way through. And a lot of Linkin Park songs for me. So many inspirational songs. And I'm just going to add this in here quick too, but I know a lot of people in this awakening journey talk about Hollywood and all the bad stuff that goes on there. Okay, yeah. And I totally get it. I've been there. I understand. But you have to realize that there's a positive and a negative to everything. And I'm not going to go long into this, but I just want to mention this because I feel it's important. There's a positive and a negative in everything. And all those singers in Hollywood, they're not all bad. A lot of them started out wanting to inspire the world, wanting to inspire so many, doing good in the world, making a difference with their music. And somehow they were manipulated. Somehow they were lied to and they lost control, whether knowingly or unknowingly. But most of them, I can guarantee you, had good intentions of making a difference in the world with their music. Not all of them. Not all of them are bad. Just like everything else, there's good and bad in everything, positive and negative. Good energy, bad energy. But it's so important to see both sides of everything because everything is balance. Everything. Doesn't matter what it is. But I just wanted to add that in there because music is so healing. And sometimes when you can't express how you're feeling about something, music does it for you. And you just sit there and you just cry it out. You just have to be in that energy for that moment. And remember those good times, bad times, whatever. And reminisce and just cry it out. Because that's your soul like reliving that good or bad situation and helping you heal. Because music does that for us. Music is attached to memory, which is why when a song comes on and it reminds you of a person or a place or whatever, it's an important part of your life. It's, you go back to that place and time when that song was playing, and it brings back so many memories. It's attached to memory. It's very healing for babies, especially if they have stuff going on. Classical music is very healing to the brain. But that was just a side note. But healing is so important in every aspect. And whether you got to see a therapist, therapists are needed. There's so many different ways to heal. And I've mentioned so many different kinds of healing, through my videos, but getting out in nature, taking a walk, exercise, whatever way you see fit. Meditate, put your feet on the ground, hug a tree. Everything is energy. It's an energy exchange. And everything helps you heal. That is in nature or, that deals with your heart, your nervous system. All that stuff, it all fits together. And the more you can release out of your body through doing the shadow work and opening up your chakras, your energy centers, and asking God for help, being connected in the spiritual realm, as above, so below. Spiritual world, physical world, here. You got to have that spiritual connection. It's balance. You're just doing your own thing and winging it if you don't have that extra connection. And like I've said before, I never found my connection in a church. I found it in nature. Nature is my church because God is in nature. God is everywhere. But God originally created us to be in nature, around the animals and whatever. But that's where my connection is, and that's where I found God. And when you start doing your work, your shadow work and healing from the inside out, you will start to realize that you have, once you start realizing that you can reach higher consciousness through Christ consciousness, when you do that with the work, okay, you're not going to live in those lower energies anymore. And you're going to be able to have more control of your thoughts, your words, your actions, living more from a heart space than an ego space. But yeah, so important, guys. And but yeah, I want you to really think about that song, One More Light, again by Linkin Park, and listen to it and understand that we are here to inspire, not to do the opposite. We're here to create, not destroy. We are here to evolve and learn and grow and not go backwards, not lose our way, not to lose our light, not to be manipulated by someone else's actions. And this ties in with forgiveness. Because again, forgiveness is a hard one. And it can be very hard to do in a lot of different situations. But in order for your soul to grow, excuse me, in order for your soul to grow, you have to understand and learn how to forgive. Because your body can only hold so much energy. And in order to let go of things that have happened to you, the trauma that you've had in your life, you have to learn to forgive. And you don't have to be in that person's presence to forgive them. But it's so important for you to do it for yourself. To let go of all that anger and rage and, the broken heart from whatever actions came from that other person or whatever. It's so important to find forgiveness, not only for yourself, but for others, so that you can let go of all of that and it doesn't create layers and layers of crap on you, on your body, internally. Because once you start forgiving all of those situations, you're going to start realizing that you're going to grow. You're going to grow spiritually. You're going to grow in every way because your body's going to be able to hold more energy, good energy. I want to see something. Okay. But yeah, so important, guys. You can reach other levels. You can get rid of all this trauma that you've accumulated over your lifetime that's keeping you stuck, that's keeping you at a lower level. Once you have a spiritual connection with God, you will start growing in every way. And you're going to be amazed. You're going to be amazed how much healing you can do, how it affects you inside and out. How many things that in the world that you will see differently. How you'll see everyone differently, not just yourself, but others. And you will also see how other things work. Not just here on the physical plane, but in the spirit. You'll start to, evolve. You'll start to expand your thinking. And then you will start to create from a better energy. And you'll start creating abundance for yourself. You'll start attracting things into your world. We don't force, we attract. We don't force energy, we attract energy. And whatever energy you put out there, that's what you're attracting to you. And that's what you'll receive. So when you look at forgiveness, one of the most important things that really opened my eyes on forgiveness is you have to look at everyone like the energy that they put out into the world and to others. That energy was coming from that child. That child's energy. That helpless child that was put through that experience, or whatever happened to that person, as a child. They learned from, and they learned negative behaviors from it, which they then started creating from. And sometimes when you don't do the healing work, it just turns out in not a good situation. And it takes, it's going to take time, guys, whatever's going on with you. And everybody's different, but it's going to take time to get through forgiveness. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's complex. It's so complex. But always be in that energy to help others, to help be that light in someone's life, to help put that smile on their face, to live in that good energy that you spread to others, and make a difference in someone's life. So important, because so many people out there are hurting. So many people are being manipulated in so many ways. And a lot of people are not awake to it. A lot of people are not seeing from a higher view of what's going on in the world, or how they're being manipulated. Every day I see people out in the world just walking around like zombies. They're walking around like they're just dead inside. And it's heartbreaking. It's like there's no one in there. You look in their eyes and they're just there. It doesn't look like anyone's there. It's so important to be the light in someone's life, especially now with so much chaos in the world. Every day make that choice of doing a good deed, because that energy will come back to you. But the most important reason is to help others believe that someone cares, that someone isn't going to ruin their world, that there is good people out there trying to help that person in some way, to help them help them with hope, to give them hope that there is a better world. And there's a lot of people out there doing this right now. There's a lot of people helping, and you may not see it, but there is an alliance of light out there right now because the light has won. The light is in control now. And whether you see it or not, there are so many good things coming. So I want you to know that there is hope. We just have to get through this transition. But there is a lot of hope, and there may be a lot of hard things to get through in the coming days, with a lot of things being revealed to us all. But energy has to balance out. So all of this negative, everything that's happened for how many years, okay? We're still being shown a lot of this stuff. But that has to come back to the positive, because everything is balance. Everything has to turn around and come back to the positive. So the best is yet to come, guys. You just have to hold on and be the light in someone's world. Help them see the light. So that's my message today, guys. And I'm glad I made it longer today than my quick one last night after falling asleep. But yeah, be the light. And I didn't write down those lyrics to that song. And of course, I'm trying to think of them at the moment. Give me a second. What is it? Who cares if the light goes out? Who cares if someone's light goes out? Shoot. I was going to write them down and I forgot to. Oh, and then I took a screenshot of them, but I can't look at the screenshot while I'm on the video. So anyways, I want you to go listen to that song because it's so powerful. And the main lyrics that I'm gonna basically describe really quick is that when someone else doesn't want to see your light, I do. So guys, that's my message. So I hope you're all doing well out there. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and keep hope alive, and do the healing work. Be the light in someone else's life and help others, and that energy will come back to you. And just create from a good energy. Okay? All right. I love you guys. Peace, love, and light.